Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic.
So, what do you think about this influx of guests that we've been having lately?
I think it's fantastic.
I mean, like today, I wanted to introduce our guest, and that's Dave Smith. So, Dave's a podcaster and a really funny guy. He does two podcasts. One is called And Another Thing with Dave, and the other one is called Dave Smith Absurd Comedy. The first podcast is primarily political and it's focused on deep issues. And the second one is complete absurdity. So welcome to the show, Dave. I love the complete absurdity part. That's awesome.
Why, thank you very much. I recently just started a third podcast, also Story Time with Dave, because I've got some crazy stories and I've got some crazy friends with some crazy stories. So throwing it out there to anybody who wants to tell a story.
God.
Sounds like Dave is crazy like us, honey.
I like you already.
How many shows do we do? We do two together.
You do two together?
Do we do two? No, we only do one
the
together.
Rest. You're the next one.
And I do three others. I have four.
That's interesting.
I can't believe that.
Wow.
How do you find the time, Dave?
Yeah, exactly, right? Where do we find the time?
Yeah.
You got to carve it out. Like
it is, right? Yeah, it's you got to make sure you get it all, otherwise it comes back.
The other night,
nobody wants it to come.
The other
back.
night, I come storming out of the bedroom, and I'm like, Mike, we're going to podcast right now. And he was like all alarmed looking because I'm usually like being dragged kicking and screaming to the podcast microphone. And I was really mad about what California is doing to the truck drivers. And I was like, you just add this to a podcast. It's only going to be 5 minutes. 35 minutes later, I might have been done ranting.
Yeah, that's the truth. And that's why, it shocked me when I have a procedure I go through with shit like this. And I had an extra file and I couldn't understand why I had an extra file. And it was a full length file. It wasn't like a short file. So I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but I have more content than I thought I had. Let's just get this stuff out. Then I remembered, as she said that, I remembered, oh yeah, I completely forgot about that episode where she went off. It's not usually her that does the ranting. It's usually
I'm an instigator, not a ranter.
Because I have the big mouth. Yeah, and she pokes me from behind. Do it.
Well, I mean, these times are ripe for a rant, right? Are they not? I mean, you got the truckers, you got the farmers, you got, no universal health care in the middle of a worldwide pandemic or plandemic, whatever you want to refer to it as. Hello, America! Fuck yeah! Come on.
Right? And then we have a guy leading the country who wants to blame everything on everybody else.
Especially Putin.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I didn't really care for his predecessor much at all, but I would even take him back over this because at least he tried to do things. This guy's just like, oh, blame. Oh, it's not my fault.
Yeah, well, and then he reads the wrong things on the teleprompter, right? Like, take a pause, take a deep breath, repeat. Oops. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Can you say dementia?
I think he's giving too much validation.
It's kind of sad.
Like, they don't deserve the validation to know that they're causing all this bullshit in the U.S. Why does he give it to them? He's going to give Vlad an ego complex.
Oh, God.
Damn Vlad.
Putin's price hike. Ugh.
Yeah, I know, exactly, right? Like, he's doing anything. Like, you said you were going to quote unquote, ask the oil companies nicely to quit price gouging us. How about you pass some legislation with the, one swipe of the pen, a presidential signing order mandating that they do, or they're going to face jail time. a friend of mine turned me on to the fact that Nixon did that. So Nixon was more progressive than Biden. Ha!
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Right?
Wow.
And but you know what? It just reminds me, where Torya's coming from, where it's just a bunch of assholes.
Just
and that's
a bunch
why,
of assholes.
Oh, yeah.
what she likes to do on this show is she likes to go to that Am I the Asshole subreddit and pick something to get us riled up. So we thought we'd give you first shot here. So she's going to read this thing and you can be the first one to give your reaction to who the asshole is. Okay?
Well,
Never been accused of not having an opinion.
So I've chosen the first one here because I know it'll rile up Mike. So we'll see about you. All right. Am I the asshole for going to a different hotel during my vacation with my husband? It's our first real vacation since 2020, and my first with just my husband in over 10 years. Our daughter, 17, was left home alone. For some reason, she can do no right in my husband's eyes. Her way she dresses, her music, chores, he has deemed her irresponsible. It's the farthest from the truth. She has a summer job and makes good grades. She's in fact kind of a hermit for her age. Unknown to me, my husband set the hot water heater to refill only once a day while we are gone. My daughter did some dishes and some laundry. She took a shower and the water was cold. She was upset and thought she broke it and called us panicking. My husband yelled at her for wasting our hot water and telling her how irresponsible she was, enough to make her cry. I got madder than I ever have in this marriage and basically said most parents would love to have a 17-year-old like ours. We argued and screamed all night, so the next day I left the resort to a little hotel down the street. My husband has been trying to call me, and I told my daughter to block her father and not to pay any attention to him. My husband is mad about the wasted money on this vacation, but I can't stand to even look at him over an argument over something so stupid and preventable. Am I the asshole?
Hell no, you're not the asshole. Oh my God. So first of all, it takes an asshole to cause a reaction like that, right? So he's clearly the asshole that drove her out of a hotel room on vacation. Hello. Oh my God. So no, but you might need to grow a little more, harden those ovaries up a little bit, so that you don't have trouble doing shit like this, because clearly you needed to walk away, maybe run away, maybe grab your daughter and bounce. I don't know, but the guy seems like an utter and complete douche. So I look forward to hearing chapter 2 on this, because it's not over. And, daddy issues are a huge, huge, huge cause of, children running astray or whatever, right? So, hey, Dad, look forward to that pregnant daughter. And then when you trace back the pregnancy, oops, it's that weekend I turned off the water heater. Damn it. Right? Well, what an asshole.
No, that's who the asshole is. I agree with Dave. That's who the asshole is. I mean, there's so many angles to this, how this guy fucked this whole thing up. Like it's just crazy. And then to admit basically, oh yeah, I did limit the water, but you wasted it. What are you talking about? Just leave her alone. And it's the first time. Okay, so if it's the first time in, she said, over a decade that they'd been on a vacation together without the kid. Yeah. Well, that means that kid, since 7 years old, has not been left alone overnight like that. So that's also going to be scary to a 17-year-old. And you're going to treat her like that and then expect to get a mild reaction out of your wife who's going to turn into mother hen? What the hell is wrong with that guy? Is he sick in the head or what? I think, what is it? It's, sadists like to inflict pain. So it's a masochist. He's a masochist. He wants to get beat up.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell is wrong with that guy? And the timing.
Yeah.
Oh, here, we're going on our first vacation in a decade. I can't hold this problem until later. I'm just going to dump it on you right now while we're on vacation. What the hell? I just can't.
It almost seems, some of the comments say it almost seems like the husband was trying to trap the daughter so that he could bully her from a distance and make her feel shitty about herself. And everybody
seems like a setup.
Yeah, everybody says that he's emotionally abusive and that she should find herself a very nasty divorce lawyer when she gets home.
I agree. And a whole nother angle. What a complete douche. This is your first time away alone in 10 years and you're going to start a bunch of shit over nothing?
Yeah.
You should just be going downtown, making her smile and her toes curl. Come on, get with the program.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that guy. Severely mentally, out there. He's just
Yeah.
lost.
The word you can't
And
say.
he's so out there. And yet he's probably also one of those people who, no matter what you say, he could completely believe that what you're saying is the truth, and he'll still think he's right. So it's almost pointless to even have an argument, which is why I think it's funny that she didn't just go get a room in the same hotel. She made sure that if he wanted to come bother her, he was going to have to take some effort.
This, I'm out.
And she bailed on him. Ask yourself how bad he has to be overall as a badgering jackass if she felt the need to go. Because most people's first reaction would be, well, fine, I'm getting my own room. Right. Hers was, I'm not doing that shit because he'll be knocking on my door all night. I'm going to make it hard for him to do that. I'm going to bail.
Yeah.
So there she went. I bet she didn't even tell him where she went.
I was going to say the same thing, right? I bet she kept it a secret.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's just terrible.
Yeah. Talk about narcissistic douchebag syndrome.
Yeah. That was spectacular when I read that one.
It's like he's almost like what you'd call like an entitled man. Right. He thinks that he gets it all his way.
Yep.
And
I mean,
he doesn't get
what person turns the water heater to only refill once a day when they're going away on vacation? Like, first off, this seems like ripe for causing plumbing issues galore in your house. And like,
if the house was empty, I don't have any problem with that. But he knew the daughter was going to be there. He also knew that it was the first time in her, like, let's call it, young adult age, where she was going to be by herself overnight. That's got to be a scary thing, especially for a girl these days. Like, my God. Why would you do that to your daughter?
Exactly. And talk about a petty ass penny saving measure. Like, come on, let the girl have some hot baths while she's alone for the first time in her life, really. Right?
Yeah, and relax and be comfortable and, whatever. That's just insane.
Yeah, he's
and then she did laundry. Yeah, and she did laundry and he gets mad. How is that teaching her the right? I don't understand. That's just terrible. So yes, I don't know what you thought about that was going to set me off, but it was pretty much everything because that's just
right.
I don't like people who, my thing is I don't like people who can't see where their responsibility lies. I mean, one of the things that we've done with our society these days is we talk about it on the show all the time. Hey, Dave, what do you like more? Do you like apples or oranges more? Which one do you like more?
Apples.
So you hate oranges. Why do you hate oranges, Dave? That's what people do. And I say to them, well, hold on, man. Maybe I like the apple 100% and I like the orange 99.9. It's that close. Come on. That doesn't mean I hate the orange. And people don't seem to understand that you can also, in a discussion, you could be wrong and I could be wrong.
Right.
Just because one of us is wrong doesn't automatically make the other person right. And those are the two things that people do these days that make me want to strangle them. And this guy fits right into that because he can't be wrong. He just can't be wrong. Anyway,
you know what this whole thing?
I like what you said about this man wants to get his way. Well, I bet this man boy isn't going to get anything. He's not getting it. Yeah. Period.
Not anymore.
Not on this vacation for sure.
Yeah, not anymore. Not on this vacation.
You know what this reminds me of?
What do you think? What do you think?
Well,
Torya?
I think he's an asshole. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Anyway.
Okay.
You know what this reminds me of?
I like to find out.
This reminds me, in March, Mike and I went to Australia for his daughter's wedding. And we left the 17-year-old in charge of our apartment and all of the animals. And on the day right before we were coming home, the dishwasher decided it was gonna pee all over the floor. There was water everywhere. And he's like, I don't know what to do. There's water everywhere. Well, what did we mad at the kid? No. Mad at the dishwasher for picking that moment to be an asshole. But I can't imagine how this guy would react if the dishwasher decided to kill itself while he was on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
He would have chastised him for it. That's the thing.
So that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that clearly. And I mean, you helped him, you calmed him down, you helped him get it all taken care of. But the thing about that's a good point too. He grew so much and he matured so much in just 2 weeks being on his own and having to, oh, I got to go get groceries. Oh, my car needs gas. I better go put gas in it. All of that stuff. He had to do that on his own. He had to come up with a plan for all of that. And so by the time we came back, we both commented about how much he had grown. Well, like in this case, it sounds like that dad just wanted to chop her down. He didn't want to like help her grow and become more mature and be ready for like going off to college. It's no wonder people go crazy in college.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, because they get away from people like that for the first time. Ah!
Babe, did I ever tell that story on here about my girlfriends?
No.
When I was in high school, I dated this girl, and I lived in Santa Monica, and she lived in Malibu. So for those of you who don't know, they're kind of like a couple cities apart, but along the Coast Highway was where I'd have to go. And it's not the easiest drive. So, what might take you 10 minutes on a highway might be 15 on the Pacific Coast Highway. So long and short of it, she had this friend, and her friend's parents, now we were 16, 17 years old at this time. Her friend's parents had a 9 p.m. curfew for her no matter what day of the week it was. So she had to adhere to the 9 p.m. curfew. Then she wasn't allowed to have boyfriends. She made it through high school, went away to college. Within the first month, she wound up pregnant. She got drunk at a party, fell down 2 flights of stairs, and broke both of her arms. All of that because she just imploded because someone's thumb was on her. So when I see this stuff, my philosophy with my own kids was let them try shit, let them try it. Why not?
Right.
So what was the other one you have there, honey? You had a second one.
I do have a second one. Actually, I have 2. So do you want to pick, or do you just want to pick the one I like better?
You just pick whichever one you like. It's your thing.
So I am choosing, am I the asshole for watching an R-rated movie on a flight?
Oh, this is good.
I, 19 male, was on a flight to visit my parents. I had a few movies downloaded on my phone, including the second Deadpool. I was watching it on my phone with headphones in when the part where Deadpool gets ripped in half happens. Thanks for the spoiler, bro. And I can hear a muffled scream behind me. I take out my headphones, and there's a little kid behind me crying. He had positioned himself in a way that he could watch my screen and had watched Deadpool get torn in half. His mom got mad at me and yelled that I shouldn't be watching that kind of thing, especially in front of children. But I wasn't aware anyone was watching me, and that that kid would have had to force himself into that weird position to even see my phone screen. So am I an asshole? He added a few extra details here at the bottom, due to feedback from the comments. He said, it was not a night flight. It was an 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. flight. The kid was around 6 years old. He doesn't know if the mom noticed before and just let it slide until it backfired on her or not. He was on his phone with headphones, so it would be harder for him to bother somebody else. And the flight was over before he even posted this, so there's nothing he can do for extra revenge. But he would like to know if he's the
extra
asshole.
Revenge. That's our society for you. I mean, at first, as I was listening to this, I thought, wow, that's kind of shitty. I mean, if there's kids there and whatnot. But then I started thinking about what he was saying. And having just recently flown 16 hours each way, that kid had to like maneuver to be able to see that man's phone screen. So in a sense, he was kind of in a little private space, or at least semi-private, right? So I think that perhaps the mom, if she was so concerned about what her was it 6-year-old sees, probably should have been keeping a better eye on the 6-year-old, and maybe the mom's the asshole. So that's where I come from it.
I would have to agree with that. Personal responsibility, right? Like your kids like using the airliner as a monkey bars or whatever, jungle gym. Keep control of your kids, which is an epidemic in this country anyway, right? Like you see these little wild beasts running rampant in a restaurant or in a store or something, and the parents are just completely oblivious, right? So rein in your little animals. And, if you're looking at my screen, that's on you. That's on you. I thought it was going to be something like sexually explicit, which would have been a whole nother level of funny. But, yeah, I call it bad parenting. I mean, you do you, as long as you're like he said, he had headphones in. What more can you ask a person to do, right? This is my personal space. Stay out of my three square feet here, right? You do you. I'll be over here doing me, and we'll all get along. But now you got this lady who's probably tired, fed up. Maybe she didn't want the kid anyway. Who knows?
Who wants a 6-year-old on a
clearly
flight?
not doing the best job as a parent, right? She's probably 5 cocktails deep, right?
She's one of those moms who you see them at the grocery store and the kid's touching everything, and all they say is, don't touch that. It's not yours. Don't touch that. It's not yours. If you touch one more thing, we're going to leave. If you touch one more thing, we're going to leave. If you touch one more thing, we're going to leave. I mean, how many one more things are you going to let him touch before you leave?
Yeah. And with that calm tone of voice, right? Like it's dog training 101. No, stop, right? Like a little bit of tone of voice goes a long way. I saw this video the other day that this reminds me of, and it was a woman showing her newborn infant and then her 3-year-old daughter continually putting her hand up around the kid's neck like she's going to choke him out. And the lady's just in the calmest, sweetest voice saying, be gentle, and then just removes the hand 3 times in a row. Never like, stop it. Or never like, don't you ever. No tone of voice, no nothing. Just be gentle while you choke out my new baby. Do it gently, right? Are you kidding me?
Are we terrified for the future yet?
Well,
yeah.
The CEO of our podcast network is a dog, and he was kind of trained to play in a more of aggressive way.
Little jerk.
And he'll just, because nature takes over, he'll get wound up, and it starts to become more serious rather than play.
Yeah.
But I also taught him that I would just put my hand on his chest and go, shh. Now, all I have to do is say that one time, he stops. But I taught him with, just like you say, a calm voice. And that's how you tame a beast, right?
Yeah.
You don't go, ah, and get all loud there, because they'll do the same in return. I think people treat you the way you treat them.
Yeah.
So treat them calm, they treat you calm.
Right. Calm with repercussions or with boundaries, right? Boundaries is what we're looking for.
Yeah, you're letting them know where they can and cannot go with you.
Exactly. And then like the second time the kid did that and didn't listen, I would have put him in their room and been like, okay, you can chill in your room for an hour.
Yeah, things have to progressively, the punishment has to progressively get a little bit worse, and hurt a little bit more,
right.
or else they don't learn.
Yeah.
And that's, and it's funny because, do you have any kids, Dave?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I have 4. I have 4 of them.
Awesome. You had 2 for me. And
when we would have to do this with them, it hurt me more than it hurt them, I think, most of the time, because you feel bad for the kid being deprived of something that they love.
Sure.
And, because you care about them. So you feel bad. But then you think about what the trick is, to think about what the consequence would be if you gave in. And giving in would create like a lifetime of problems for that kid if you continually gave in. And I think that's what like moms like that are doing. They're abdicating their authority until there's a problem. Then they jump in and take advantage to get attention. Like, look at what a great mom I am. I'm yelling at this guy for letting my kid see something that he shouldn't have seen. But really, you're the one who shouldn't have allowed him to see it.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback on that, these parents that don't give any kind, and I'm not talking smacking your kid, but just removing benefits. Like you said, like, okay, take away your PlayStation, take away that, whatever is important and valuable to them. You realize, okay, you're going to do some alone time and it's going to be boring and you're going to get to think now. But parents that don't do that are unleashing these entitled a-holes on the world that the rest of us are going to have to deal with, whether it's in a supermarket setting or the people talking loudly on their cell phone in a restaurant when you're trying to go out for a meal. Like you see these people all over the place, like, who were your fucking parents, right? And it's unbelievable. and a case in point, I grew up with this guy. He crashed his mother's car. This is in high school. Crashed his mother's car 4 times. She kept letting him borrow the car, kept letting him borrow the car, kept letting him borrow the car. Got a DUI in the car, kept letting him borrow the car. Let him drive it without a license when his license was suspended. Well, that guy ended up going to San Quentin.
Of course he did.
Right?
That's not even surprising.
Yeah, he never saw a consequence for his actions. So 2 + 2 does equal 4.
My dad.
Yeah, he didn't experience.
My dad, when I was in high school, he had a 1975 cream and brown piece of shit Ford. And by piece of shit, I mean the speedometer doesn't work. It just bounces from one side to the other. And he had like sheet metal and board bolted to the bottom of the floor so that me and my friends wouldn't fall out. And my brother borrowed it one time, and he was not sober. And it went off the road, and he hit like a sapling, and it put a little tiny dent in the hood of the piece of shit. Never again was he allowed to drive it. Ever. That was it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I was raised where you treat somebody else's things better than you would treat your own. And,
right.
And if you mess anything up on it, it's on you. You pay to have it fixed and brought back to the condition it was in when you borrowed the damn thing.
Yep. Even if it required slave labor for you to get it that way. Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
By hook or by
Yeah.
crook. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's what my mom taught me. I mean,
yeah. Imagine that. Consequences.
Well, yeah.
And
it's funny how, it's funny how when we always used to say, like, you teach them a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time. And then you give them a little more rope and a little more rope and a little more rope. Well, what better time to let them make a mistake than when you're around to help them navigate the issues that it's going to create, so they have to be allowed to make the mistakes. So like when we let my son stay for 2 weeks, his mom wasn't happy about it at all. She didn't like that he was left for 2 weeks by himself. He'll be lonely. So he can come over to your house anytime he wants. But the idea is he's going to spend the night there. Like it's his place. Yeah. It made him grow up exponentially. Like I said earlier, he's been a different person since then.
Right. And I mean, come on, 17, that's not like he's not a child anymore, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, people at that age, if it was the World War I days, he'd have been shipping off to war, right? So,
yep.
And a lot of times that's a grown ass man. Cowboy times, he'd have been middle aged, right?
Cowboy times 13 was a grown ass man. I mean, he was almost a senior citizen.
So we're running down on time here. So
wait, I want to share my opinion.
Why don't you tell everybody? Oh, I forgot about you needing to share your opinion. I'm sorry.
My opinion on this is very simple. I watched Deadpool 2 on the way back from Australia on the flight, and it was on the airline sanctioned entertainment system. So clearly the airlines don't think it's inappropriate, and I agree.
There we go.
Well, that's a neat way to wrap that up, with the fact that the airlines actually had it as a sanctioned movie on a screen that you could see. Right. Because you could for sure see that screen.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? Like, tell us a little bit too about your podcasts, because the description that I had there, it cracks me up. They sound great.
Yeah. So, and Another Thing with Dave, and Dave Smith Absurd Comedy. You can find both of those on all podcast platforms. Super thrilled and humbled to be on 23 different platforms in 46 countries with And Another Thing with Dave. I ranked number 82 in politics in Lebanon. I couldn't believe it. But I often take a deep dive into things that you won't hear on what I call the lamestream media. So one of my favorite topics is, crimes of the deep state, what the CIA and FBI have done to subvert democracy abroad and here, while they tell us that they're protecting democracy. They're doing quite the opposite. MK Ultra is one of my favorite scandals that runs deep. And and the new one is Storytime with Dave. That's going to be on all podcast platforms as well. For now, I'm lumping it in with And Another Thing with Dave, and I'm looking for anybody that's got an interesting story that they want to share.
Awesome. That sounds so awesome. I'm going to have to put Dave's shows in my daytime rotation. I have a nighttime rotation, which are the shows that basically they're okay, but they put me to sleep half the time. So I use them to put myself to sleep. Yeah. But then I have my daytime rotation are the ones I want to actually hear. So I'll have to put you into the
Dr.
daytime
Drew,
rotation.
You make Mike go to sleep?
Fantastic.
Yes, he does. Dr. Drew puts me to sleep.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to reach out, can reach me at andanotherthingwithdave@gmail.com.
Perfect. So, Dave's a cool guy. I think anyone out there who wants to add a little spice to their show should invite him to come on. He's a really cool
What's
guy.
your new nickname? Show Spice.
Show Spice. Oh boy, gotta love that.
I love it.
But it's getting late, and I think it's time to wrap it up, babe.
Dinner's on the way. So with that, I say good night, everyone.
Thanks for being on, Dave.
Thank you for the opportunity. Much fun. Have a great night.
Hasta la bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.